Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 everyone. I'm your host, Allie Ray. My beloved co-host, Lou Martin, is off today, but we'll be back soon. Love to welcome you here to this podcast, View from Love. We're incredibly excited and thrilled to have you on this podcast journey of extraordinary love, where we introduce you to amazing people with wonderful, incredible, inspiring stories of love. Today's guest is really just phenomenal. She's a gifted healer and a beautiful human being. She is one of the most courageous, brave, and just truly embodied human beings of unconditional love. This is true. My dear sister, Anela Watson, welcome to View from Love.
Aloha, Ali. Mahalo.
Aloha.
So much gratitude to be here. Thank you for inviting me in this space.
Oh, yes. And when Lou and I put our podcast together, you were really one of the first people that popped in for me that I wanted the whole world to get to know and get to meet, because you're just truly, truly, truly an inspiration. Truly.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you. Deep gratitude. I feel so honored.
Oh, well, I feel so honored. I feel so
really...
honored to have you here, and to share the blessing of you as such an example, Anela, of a beautiful, brave heart. I speak often about showing up as love in the face of things that most human beings couldn't imagine as possible. And I say that from my own heart knowing, but you are such a brilliant example of that always. And your life's journey has been so incredible. And that's why I'm just so happy that so many people today are going to be able to get a glimpse of that and to feel the beauty of you.
Oh, thank you, Ali. Mahalo.
So, Anela, let's talk about how you. Well, actually, let's just catch up with you in general. So, you want to tell our audience kind of a little bit of your background?
Yes. Okay. So, I live in Hawaii on Oahu Island in Makakilo. I have 3 beautiful children, all adults, and 2 grandchildren, one on the way.
Congratulations.
Very excited, bringing in more star seeds. Very powerful souls, these grandchildren. So I'm very grateful. I am almost 50. And life has just been a beautiful journey with all its lessons and experiences. It hasn't been an easy journey. There's so many aspects of me in this journey. And so I could write like a whole series if I wanted to write a book. But I had my awakening about 6 years ago, and it was through a family trauma. And ever since then, I've been on the journey back to self, just really rooting into all aspects of me and healing all of that. And in return, I have been receiving my abilities. They've been getting stronger and stronger. And so now I do a lot of healing work, tapping into old memories of DNA, where I do plant medicines and learning about the plants of the Aina and helping humanity with that as we all go through our physical ailments. Doing energy healing, I do multiple modalities. The modality that I do most often is Lemurian healing. I was taught that. And now I'm teaching it because this healing modality was so profound. And as I started my journey, I was being taught by the ancestors more, like bringing it in with catching up to the energies of the now and how to merge the 2 aspects. And so I've been very blessed just working with the community. I don't promote. People find me by word of mouth, but I've been very grateful just to assist humanity in that way. And everything is always by donation because I never want to turn away anybody from healing. I never want anybody to feel like they cannot come to me or come to somebody to assist them on their journey, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual.
So beautiful. You're such a blessing, Anela. And so multi-talented. As I said, you're an incredibly gifted healer. And earlier you were sharing with me a little bit about your insight into COVID and how there are particular healings and things associated with COVID. Would you like to share a little bit about what has come in for you with regard to that?
Yeah, definitely. So I have a good friend of mine that was away in the States, and her mom had passed over, but I got a message from her mom very clearly to contact her. And so I contacted her and I felt the nudge, and I didn't know that she was going through COVID. And so she told me she had just got out of the hospital that morning. She was on a breathing the breathing
Ventilator.
system, the
Yes.
oxygen and all that. And so I told her, okay, give me a few hours, and then we'll do a distant healing session. And as I was doing it, my light team came in and they were showing me certain aspects of the body and how to go in. And the first thing I noticed was the disconnection to source. And so I went in and opened that, reconnected her to her highest self, and helped her bring in her I am presence. And I was just listening to what the ancestors were telling me. And within the hour, she was breathing again and off the tube. And then I was like, okay, I hope you feel better, this and that. And I was in shock because this is my first attempt. Later that afternoon, the Star Mothers came in and showed me about the DNA and how it affects the DNA in the nervous system. So I called her back and I said, we have to do another appointment. And she said, oh, okay, because I have this massive headache. And the next morning, I went in through the DNA, and they were teaching me how to reconstruct the DNA and clear the dense energies and go into specific layers, which I was never taught before. And so I did. And that day her nervous system was back to normal and she was able to walk again without the headaches. And she said, Anela, you have to bring this to the world and help more people. And at that time I was like, I don't know. And so I did. And then all of a sudden the universe brought all these people and were asking for support. And I was seeing so much. And the main thing was disconnection to source. And that kind of like awakened me to be like, okay, we need all healers on deck. And so I put out that anybody needing support, I'll put aside 2 days to do free healing and just contact me. And boy, I've been learning so much. To me, the price of what it would be is helping me learn more and more and connecting with my guides and showing me how this thing moves through the body. And so it's been amazing, Ali. I just feel really honored and blessed that I have this opportunity.
Absolutely, Anela, because we're all knowing that we're returning to this state of oneness, and that
Right?
oneness is achieved through our connection to source. And so
Yes,
this
yes,
COVID is kind of like the extreme opposite, right? Like the extreme
mhm,
duality.
yes,
And so it is serving a purpose too. It's catalyzing many into a state where they can become receptive to the journey
yeah,
back to the source connection, and for you
right.
to be one to hold hands and hold hearts and help in that assistance is just incredible. It's incredible. And yes, to everyone who's here meeting Anela for the first time, you're definitely gonna want to get to know her more. So definitely check on our channel here for more information and direct links to get in touch with Anela, because she's just a breath of wisdom, so much wisdom with regard to all of this. And so, yeah, Anela, I would love it if you would share with us the journey, what your life was like prior to your awakening and how your awakening process took place.
Okay. So I had a life like normal star seeds, completely closed off to everything, just going through the systems and, so totally asleep. And I went through many different things in my life. I went through drug addiction. I went through suicidal attempts. I went through marriage and then divorce. I went through just a lot of catalysts of just things that shook me. And now I look back on it and I think that it was certain points in my life that was trying to wake me up just a little bit, just so I had the awareness. But I still needed to complete the journey of the lessons and the experiences. So I went through many times, and each time I got a little closer to myself, but not really awakened. I was in the military, very strict parent, very everything had to be a certain way. I went through deployments, 2 deployments to Iraq, and
Wow.
I feel that I needed that time because I've learned so much. I've learned how to I was teaching in the military. And so I learned how to teach. I learned how to be confident with myself in front of an audience. I learned how to speak and, communicate with all different types of people all over the world. And so I'm very grateful for that. Throughout my career, I was raising my children by myself, and then I married my beautiful wife about 6 years ago. We've been together for 12 years. And so my children all started moving out of the house. And I had one last daughter that was still at home, the youngest. She was just turning 15, and she was living with her father back and forth until about the age of 10. And then she wanted to live with us. And about age 12, she just started giving us issues. Like she was wanting to always be with her friends. Technology kind of took over. She was sneaking her phone, even though we took it away, and starting to like take pictures of herself online. And so I got stricter and stricter because of fear of, I have this baby girl, I want to protect her with all my heart. And that's what I learned from my parents and her, and so on in society. And so I used to tell her, no boyfriends until you're 18. I don't even want to fathom the idea of you having one. And was very strict with the older two as well, just like that. Well, this one, she ended up meeting this boy and didn't tell me, of course, because she was scared, right?
Yeah.
And he was very destructive. He was older than her, and he ended up convincing her to leave and go to this party. Well, she didn't. She said that she couldn't because, of course, strict mom at home would know everything. And so he told her, run away and I'll take care of you. And so that's what she did. She left and ran away with him. And I thought it was just, in my mind, I was so close to the world. I was just in my own, this is the way life is. I was so in the moment of, I'm always right. And so I told my wife, let her go. It's summertime. Let her figure it out. And she'll come home because she won't have a place to stay. His parents are going to reject her. All the stuff I was playing in my own reality. And after 2 weeks, a friend of ours told me that I needed to reach out to her because there's some dangerous things out there. And I said, no, it's summer. She's just having fun, because I did the same thing. And he was like, no, listen to me. I'm a police officer. I know what happens. So I posted a picture of her and I on Stolen Stuff Hawaii on Facebook. And I started getting tips that there was a possibility that she was being sex trafficked. And my heart just sank. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we made a report. And sure enough, we put her as missing endangered child. And sure enough, she went down that road. And I just went into a very, very dark place during that time. I was in so much guilt for myself, and I just didn't know who to turn to. We had to call the FBI to investigate, and I felt like they weren't doing anything. And the FBI was telling us, you cannot trust anybody, don't talk to anybody, just me. And the more I started researching online, more truths, I went down that rabbit hole, of what's going on in the world with all of that. So I ended up reaching out to a psychic, 3 of them, Allie. And they all told me, they were pinpointing what was happening. But at the end, they all kept saying, you're going to get your daughter back, but you really need to change. And I was like, what do I have to do with any of this? I don't have to, what do I have to do with any of this? I just want to find my daughter. Like, when? And they said, no, listen to me. And so when I was playing it back for the FBI agent, we'd get to that part of the recording and I would say, oh, wait, let me fast forward. She goes, no, play that back. Not knowing she was also on a spiritual journey, Allie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so she goes, well, and this is what it's about. Like, yes, you may get your daughter back, but there's things in your life that are going to have to shift. You're going to have to realize things about yourself. And I just was like in full victim mode. The world is against me. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, we got the call and they had found her. So they told me, we found your daughter, come to the police station. And the FBI agent had called me and she said, I want you to listen to me. Before you even come, you need to just love her. You need to just come and love her. Do not ask her any questions. Do not ask her where she's been. You just love her. And in my mind, I was like, okay. And when I got down there, I realized I didn't know how to do that, Ali, because I wanted to ask her so much questions. But when I embraced her, we just both cried. And so that began my journey of learning just how to love my daughter unconditionally without a condition. And I realized the condition was wanting her to tell me what happened. And I couldn't. And that was the hardest lesson for me. So the first 2 weeks when she was home, she was just like a 5-year-old again, always curled up in a ball. She had bruises everywhere. I didn't know how to touch her or, ask her anything. And I just said, do you want a bath? Can I bathe you? Can I feed you? And she would just say, just no. And so I remember going in my room and just crying and yelling to anything in the universe that would listen. I didn't know if I should talk to God, my ancestors. I was just yelling at everything. And I had asked my ancestors to come in, completely unconsciously, to come in and help me, support me, teach me how to be a mother. God, just help me to surrender and learn how to love, and tell me what I have to do. And I felt for the first time all this love come around me. And I opened my eyes and my ancestors were just stacked. And I've never experienced this before. And so I just cried in my bed and I laid down and I ended up getting what I call the spiritual flu for 5 days. I was going through a death and rebirth,
Mm.
and I couldn't move my body. My temperature it was almost like what people are experiencing as COVID.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was laying in bed, and my wife was still in the mode of we have to catch these people. So she was completely in a different
Mm.
mindset, which gave me the time to do the death and rebirth
Mm.
process.
Yes.
She didn't take me to the hospital. She didn't give me medication. She just kind of like, okay, you're in there. Now I can go out and find these people.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's a
And
good team there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when I
Yeah.
finally woke up, I
Mm.
came into my daughter's room and I told her, Kawai, I love you so much. And I am so sorry for everything that I've ever done. And then she covered my mouth and she said, Mom, stop. And I said, no, I need you to listen to me. And she said, I told her, I have to heal in order to even help you and even to go forward from here. There's so much in me that I need to look at. And for the only thing I'm asking you right now is to teach me how to be a parent. I'm going to sit in the back seat from this point on, and I need you to drive.
Mm.
And I need you to tell me what to do each day. And all I want from you is just trust. I want you to trust that I'm just going to love you unconditionally. And that's it. You tell me what you need, and I will keep my mouth shut. And Ali, something inside of me from that point, speaking those words, completely shifted. And I went straight to my room and I looked in the mirror and I told myself, I am ready to do this healing. I love you. And I just felt like these like shifts. I can't even explain it on the
Mm.
human level in my
Mm.
body. And it was like a deep, profound spiritual awakening within.
Mm.
It was like I
Mm.
was completely being rebirthed in that moment. And all of a sudden, I started having this knowing of everything around me that we were all souls from God. It was so
Mhm.
weird, like not souls from God,
Mm.
but that we were God.
Fun.
We were God here on earth, and we were all connected, no matter what roles we were playing. And I dropped down on the floor in my room and I said, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive everybody. I forgive my daughter's perpetrators. And I was yelling out their names. And I just started forgiving all these people. And I felt this deep, just love, unconditional love within myself for myself after that.
Mm.
And from that point on, Ali, I started seeing a greater picture of what was happening. And I knew that my daughter had come to earth to assist me in waking me up and shifting me into my next phase of my life. Like
Mm.
reconnect. It was so difficult to
Yes.
explain at the time. And I ran in her room and I just hugged her and I started telling her this. And at the time, she was not about to hear any of it because I just said, I was telling her how I forgave myself, I forgave everything, and I forgave the people, and that thank you for coming to Earth. And, you know,
Yes.
she was just like, what is happening? And now she's awakened to that as well. So we talk about it
Mm.
constantly. She's always telling me, Mom, I'm just so grateful for everything that happened in my life. I just grateful that I had this opportunity to go through this, because she's very much so awake. But yeah, that's how it all started. And that started my inner work, just going
Yeah.
back in. And for a whole year, I was just being aware of how I was thinking about people, being aware of my thoughts, being aware of in traffic what made me so angry with people cutting in front of me and not knowing the true story. I don't know if they were on their way to the hospital or their last
Mm.
time being late at their job before they got fired. And all of these things were coming to me in a different reality. It was
Yeah.
like it was like the universe had lifted me up so I had a different lens and could see differently. And in the same time, my wife is still going down the rabbit hole, just telling me about all the sex trafficking and the politics and all of this stuff and these people and these vans and these license plates.
So
And
was
me
she
just,
she was actually at that time really, really on the hunt and trying to
yes,
understand how it happens and kind of bringing that human aspect, that humanness
yes,
to the forefront and trying to figure out how to process that human aspect while you are coming at all of it from a spiritual perspective
right,
and trying to balance the two.
yes,
And so were
yes.
you dealing then with a lot of stuff regarding the police and the FBI and the
Um,
circumstances surrounding what happened?
yes, I was like, I had said that I'm no longer going to push the issue, that I wanted to allow my daughter the space to heal. And if I took her down that road, she would never get to a point of forgiveness. And so I said, I need to just work on healing my daughter. And my wife was not. She was like, we need, what are you talking about? But my wife loved me so much that she was just like, okay, you I'll respect it. So she was doing it on her own. But we were in two different paradigms. We were completely in two different worlds. But because I was such in a spiritual bliss at the time and just in full love, at that first year, it didn't affect me. When I started coming down off of it, after my daughter started awakening, it started affecting me. And so there was a lot of turbulence in the relationship. And I kept telling her that you need to heal from the bottom. Let's go back down to the root chakra. And she was having premonition. She was very much up here, very awake. Like she would go into visions and try to astral travel to see where people are. And I was still in the bottom chakras, not awake to this part yet. I was in the heart down. And it took us about 4 years to merge together in the place that we are now. And to the point, I actually left my relationship for 3 months and had to go live at a meditation center and just do my own thing. But I realized I needed to give us the space to go through what we were going through on our own levels in order to come back into balance. And that's where we're at now, is I just allow her her own journey and she allows me my own journey.
It's beautiful.
But it
And
wasn't overnight, Ali. It was
yeah.
it was a
Oh,
long time.
yes, yes, yes. And it's interesting too, Anela, because when I was speaking about your bravery, what it is to be a beautiful and brave soul is with every moment. It's like we're all facing so much in every moment. And oftentimes, we like to think about, oh, that beautiful experience I just had, or, oh, I just became enlightened about this particular thing. But it really is integrating all of it into our
Yes.
humanness and facing every human experience in front of us with as much love as we possibly can, in any
Yeah.
given moment. And for you to understand so profoundly the level of unconditional love, that
Yeah.
really is it, that is the healer.
Yes.
But it really is not easy. It's
No.
not easy. Our conditioning and programming has us really formed to be in judgment, even on subtle levels that we aren't even aware of.
Right. And honestly, Ali, the only thing that I can explain going through that is the surrendering, the full surrender. Like when I was crying out to God and the universe and the ancestors and everything, I was in a state of darkness. I had no family supporting us. I had lost everything already. My job, I didn't even return to my job for like 4 months because I was just on this manhunt for my daughter. I was not sleeping while she was gone. We were up all night looking for her, every single night putting up posters for 3 months straight. It was so crazy, Ali, that we had a friend that came to park her car here and nobody knew what was happening to us. They just knew we kind of disappeared. And my friend that I hadn't talked to in a long time came to park her car here and asked us if she could park it. And when I opened the door, I was very thin. I must have been very dirty because first thing she asked me is, what's happening? Like, when was the last time you showered? When was the last time you ate? And I was like, I couldn't remember. My mind was so gone. I was really in a very, very gone place. And she ended up moving in with her other half, which we didn't even realize. And they were watching our grandson for us because I had full custody of him, and cooking every night and bathing us every night and just making sure that we did everyday things.
Yeah.
And
Wow. Yeah,
it
because
was
you
so
were in a completely separate reality. You
it's
know, a trauma
completely
like that, you aren't in the world that everyone else is in.
no.
You are
And then
literally so focused, so focused on getting your daughter. It was like you're going to get your
yeah.
baby back and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, Ali, because all through my life I went through so much destruction, just the drug abuse. At early age, 12 years old, I started the drug abuse. I was in treatment by 15, a two-year treatment center. And still after that, suicide attempts, very destructive relationships where I almost lost my life many times. And those things did not wake me up to the point that this situation did. And it's because sometimes there's deep inside of us, sometimes we feel like we deserve all of this. And it's okay. It's okay if we go through these things. But once something happens to our children or something close to us, that completely knocks us off our feet. And that's why I always say that her soul came in and said, okay, mom, if you don't wake up with all these other instances, I'm going to go ahead and come in with this experience and just really bring you to your knees. And that's what happened. That is exactly what happened because my mind was completely gone.
Gone. Yes. And it's interesting, isn't it, about awakening, how people go through all these efforts to quiet their mind and the mind rages on, and you can spend years and years trying to do all kinds of different modalities and meditation, and the mind is what the mind is what the mind is. It really is. And we
Yes.
are all wired in our own unique way for the precise time that some experience happens to us that we just are out of it. Like literally, it happens to us. It's like we cannot be an architect of this enlightenment. Not truly. We cannot do it. And yeah, there's a lot of pointers, beautiful spiritual pointers, about being and about quieting the mind and about being in the silence. And really, truly, until that experience touches your being,
Yes.
it really is words. It's
Yes.
words. And
Yes.
and the way that you so beautifully, Anela, described the feeling that came over you, that unconditional forgiveness, that had nothing to do with the Anela that was having her human journey, who had
No.
the past drug experiences and this very, um, dedicated life, right? That was very organized, and that you knew, as you said, like you knew you were right about these things that you knew. But this took you completely, completely out of that. And at the core of that was love. It was a love that is beyond just the human experience. And your daughter, the love as a mother, right? So it was this lovingness that was just wired in you as a mother. The mother in you is the
Yes.
one that was rising, that rose up and led you to that place. You
Right.
know, and from what you were sharing before, it was obvious that, you know, you wanted your children, but you weren't coming from that kind of level of
Mm-mm.
place of even connection to being a mother, which, you know, Anela, that was also so beautiful what you were sharing, because, you know, throwing your arms up to God and to the universe and to ancestors and to saying, love, show me, love,
Mm.
show me how to be a mother.
Yeah.
You know, because there's this misconception that, you know, we're all taught how to be, you know, well, we have a mother and then we learn what to be a mother is, and this is what it's supposed to look like. And that there's somehow one size fits all, which is completely insane to me.
Yes.
Oh, this is a way to be a good mom. To who? Like
Yeah.
every beautiful human being is so different, so unique. Every child, no one has even two children that are the
Mm-mm.
same.
No.
And so, yeah, like just that calling, that inner calling from the true
Mm.
mother, I would say it's the divine mother in you, just rose up, and just in
Yes.
that moment, that level of unconditional love and forgiveness, even beyond what you felt as a human being capable of. But
Yes.
you knew without a doubt, every cell in your body said, this is it. This is
Mm.
the way. And even all the years that you're just describing of the processing, you know, the bringing that in, and dealing with all of the things and all of the processes that happened subsequent to that, has been the journey of integrating that high level of unconditional love and forgiveness
Right.
again and again and again, and in
Yes.
all of these human ways.
Right, Ali. And that's what I really feel is like I look back and the people that come into my lives for healing and stuff like that. And, you know, in the beginning of my healing journey, some of the people in my life, my mentors, they would say, oh, how, you know, how come you're putting yourself in these certain circles? And I'm saying certain circles, like, I was once there in my life as well. I cannot judge these people because
Mm-mm.
this is why I chose the journey, Ali. This is why I
Yes.
chose all of those experiences in my life through the drug addiction and everything, because I needed to learn compassion in this now moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I learned it, is because I went through the experiences. I know what it's like to be in every single one of them. There's not an experience that has come into my field that I have not gone through myself. And that's
Yes.
when I realized that this is what the journey was about. I chose these specific things because I knew where I was supposed to be in this now moment, you
Yes.
know, and I wouldn't have the compassion. I would still have a lot of judgment for people that come into my life. But
Yes.
now I'm like, no, because I know what it feels like to almost die from drug addiction. I know what it feels like when you're stuck in a relationship for 5 years, and no matter how much times you end up in the hospital, you just can't leave, you know?
Mm-hmm. And Anela,
I
that's so beautiful, because that's something that I hope everyone out there can really truly connect to. This is that trust.
Mhm.
Trust is felt. And so when you are in front of someone who feels, right, who resonates because their own experience reflects back to them, there's a trust that is effortless. It's an effortless trust. And so as I'm hearing you, I'm really understanding that, yes, there is not a person who's struggling with drug addiction
Right.
that couldn't come to you just as they are, at whatever level of that they are, and not feel received by you, because you
Yeah.
hold the vibration of unconditional love, and also the resonance of knowing. So it's not that someone has to explain to you and try to get you to figure it out, what they're going through, or really understand them, because your very being understands them and knows
Mhm.
them. And that's really that profound level of where true healing happens, you
Yes.
know? And that is just, to me, I hope that people really tune into this, that the struggles that we all have, the challenges and struggles that we all have, they're not just personal struggles. They're not personal. They're not just personal, but they are serving a greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They truly
Yeah.
are. And as we move through and honor ourselves and love ourselves and forgive ourselves and go through that journey, then we become that healing for others. Just energetically by going through our process. And then what's beautiful is that our world sends to us beautiful humans to reflect where we are and to allow us to be of service, which is beyond amazing. I mean, it's like having this full heart of gratitude for every experience that you have, for every struggle, every trial, everything we've judged ourselves for, to return that to a place of gratitude and love. And then to have someone say that something that you've lived has touched their heart or inspired a healing or done something to assist them is so fulfilling. And that's really is the reason that we're all here. We're here to be together. We're here to love each other. We're here to heal humanity in
Yes.
mass, but each by
Mm-hmm.
our own individual healing through our own individual paths.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
really, Anela, you have been just such a beautiful, courageous, brave human being. You are a beautiful, beautiful human being and someone I just so truly admire. And I've just been so honored to have you here so that more of the world can get to know you and see your beautiful face. And hear all of your beautiful wisdom, because it's true, to be able to hear another share authentically about the human journey, but to
Yes.
really take it up to that level of also seeing it from the higher perspective. I just feel it's so valuable and so important, especially now.
Yes, it is, Sally. Even now, my oldest daughter, she's struggling through addiction. And I was raising her son for 8 years. And she was on her feet for a while, asked to take him, which was a big shift in my
Mm.
reality because he was like my son. And 2 months after, she ended up giving him away to someone else and to the father. And which brought the father of the child back in our lives, which we
Mm.
got to make a beautiful amends and a
Mm.
connection now. And, understanding that I told him, because he's trying to explain what happened over the years. And I said, I don't need to know that. I know what happened. I've been there. We're just going to move from this point on and go forward. And she called and she was like, Mom, I'm so sorry that, I didn't hear from her, Ali, for months. She
Oh.
goes, I'm so sorry. I had to give Kaya away and blah, 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 and this and that. And I said, you're exactly where you need to be. Don't say sorry about anything. It's all a part of the journey. And all I want you to know is how much I love you. Because one day, Hoku, you are going to be a very powerful being, sharing your story and helping others. And I truly feel that, Ali. And she just cried and she said, I don't know why I was so afraid to call you. And I said, I know why, because you still think I'm the person I was years ago. And she goes, yeah, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Just the love that you have for me. And I just don't know how to receive it. And I said, that's
Mm.
okay. It's okay because you'll understand it one day. And,
Yeah.
it's just really shifted the family dynamics, which causes healing on quantum levels
Yes.
throughout the generations. And I truly feel that. I see the shifts even in her, like the way she's speaking to me is not a way that she would before.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't even call me and say, Mom, I just need somebody to hear me and listen to me cry. And they would never. And she's turning to me today, even in the midst of her chaos. And I just sit here and I listen and I just tell her, I love you so much. You know, I'm so sorry I can't take care of you because you just have to figure this out on your own. Me or anybody cannot get you on a path. You are on the path. And all I can do is just listen and tell you how much I love you. And for me, that, Ali, that is a huge transformation in what I was before, because the first thing she would do is call before and I'd be, see, I told you, what did I tell you? You know, like throwing it back in her face.
Yes.
And today it's not like that. And of course I feel the emotions. I cry with her because it hurts me seeing my daughter like this. But I can no longer assist her. I have to let her continue burning the bridges. That's the
But
only way we
she's in
learn.
her own spiritual fire.
Right, right.
You know, and your knowing is such that if it was really critical, you would know that you need to step in, but you also know when to let go. And that's really what a lot of this learning for us in embracing that love, right? What love truly is, not the definitions that we've been told. This is how you love people. No, but our own heart, the heart knows. It has an inner knowing of when to hold and when to let go, when to be in there and when to be out. I mean, there is a nature to it, to this love. It's like what we do see actually in nature, the way that nature, you know, is the ebbs and the flows and the seasons and all of it. There's a time and a place and a moment for everything. And as you said, you know, we look back and we can see that the times where we thought we were abandoned, there wasn't anyone there for us. That turned us inward. And we actually needed that, even though we were screaming, why aren't you here for me? Why aren't you there? You know, it all guided us to us, back inside to who we really are. And so when we know that the suffering is serving a purpose, and that we know that the loving guidance within us allows us to know when to be present and when to let go, you know, and allow ourselves to even process that, as you said before, about, you know, our emotions. As human beings, we are unprogramming. We're deprogramming ourselves as we are stepping into this higher knowing. So there are many, many moments of grieving, you know, and the feeling of, oh, you know, I know that I'm supposed to let this happen, right? Or I'm supposed to allow my child this experience, even though there's a part of me that wants to save them and wants to fix it and wants to do something. But I'm going to hold love to myself too, to the aspect of me that is grieving that I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like that truly the loving thing is to do nothing at this time, but soothe the one that's inside us that has to come to grips with that.
Because of course, Ali, especially our children, if we're saying no to them, there's a guilt.
Oh, yes.
Guilt still, the emotion of guilt still arises. And we got to walk through that. Like I had to walk myself through that whole day, and kept saying that I have to let go of this guilty feeling of feeling like I can't, I'm a bad mother if I don't reach out and understand the bigger picture, you know. And because of this profound awakening, I do have that ability to pull myself up and look above things and see it from God's eyes, you know. And I just, I give thanks every day just to be able to, that's one of my biggest, it's just one of my biggest lessons that I've learned, is how to pull myself up in situations and look through God's eyes. It's really difficult to explain, but I see the levels, you know, I see the levels. I can still see what's happening down here, but the understanding of my consciousness and my awareness level is up here, where when I'm looking down, I'm seeing it through the consciousness of the divine.
Yes. And it really, I mean, having that ability, and more people are awakening to that, being able to do the dance of shifting, because, we're having our human experience,
Right.
and then we call in, we go inward and we ask to see, we make the choice to see it from the higher perspective. And that it gets easier and easier as we go, doesn't it? Like to
Yes,
see
it
it really
does.
does. And I feel like I
Mhm.
really want to share that with everyone here, is that at first that might seem like a challenge at first, because you might have a radical experience of seeing it from this higher place. And then you may even feel immediately slammed to the opposite, and
Mhm.
feel all the feelings of the deep, darker, human experience of something. But it is true that the more that you surrender and you
Yes.
go with that flow, it really begins within you to teach you that process of going and shifting to the higher perspective, and really being able to see it more and more often, and more with
Yeah.
more and more ease, and it starts to become a new normal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is a lot easier than it was when I was trying to when I was trying to control everything. I was such Ali, I gotta share this story. I was such a control freak. My family has had arthritis. All the women get arthritis in their
Mm,
hands, in their body,
mm,
about 32 years old. And I used to have really bad arthritis in my fingers when I was about 32,
mm,
34. And at the time I was weightlifting and I couldn't grip the
mm,
bar because it was so painful. Through my journey with all this healing, I've learned to let go and surrender to a lot of things, not just my children, but life in
mhm.
general. If something
Yes.
pops up, I'm like, okay, it's not meant to be. I notice if things are too difficult, I go, it's not meant to be. It's the universe is telling me to just surrender and let this go. There must be something opening up.
Mm,
And I truly walk myself through that constantly.
mm, mm.
I haven't had arthritis for 3 years, and
Yes.
that's what happens is when we
Hmm.
heal everything else, the
Yes.
emotional, the mental, then
Yes.
the physical body starts reacting, because arthritis is the fear of letting go, the fear
Mm.
and gripping on too
Yes.
tight to life and controlling everything. And so now all of a sudden I don't have it.
Mm.
And I know it wasn't just miraculous healing from God. It was a
No.
lot of work that I did
Yes.
in the mental and emotional body, removing
Yes.
all of those old patterns of thought, removing the
Yes.
old emotions of fear that I have to hold on so tight and control everything around me.
Mm. Yes. And as that ripples through all of the DNA in your family. Woohoo! So you're clearing that up for all generations in your own family. And as the 100th monkey effect, you're making it possible in the quantum field for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's that profound, but that's exactly true. And I'm so glad you shared that, because yes, I've been speaking to people recently about how our body is just the receiver. It is
Hmm.
only behaving the way that it is because it's holding things for us. Right?
Yes.
The different areas of our bodies, when we have ailments or things that are uncomfortable, it's because our body is blessing us with processing something that we haven't let go of yet. And the more
Right.
and the more that we actually let go of the thoughts and let go of the
Yeah.
emotions, like all the trapped thoughts and emotions and paradigms, our body begins to just thrive naturally. And I do honestly feel that our human evolution is going to return us to vitality and
Yes.
youthfulness and
Hmm.
regeneration. And we're all of the old ideas about what it means to be older and what we can expect from our bodies is going to
Right.
go right out the window.
Yes. And that's you said something so profound is one of the things that's come into my awareness through my team is that when we choose our body, the perfect body. And so
Yep.
we come in and we don't like our body, we want to change everything, but we choose the body, we choose the DNA, we choose the family that we come from because of the lessons that we want to learn. And so through my family, there's cancer, ovarian cancer, there's symptoms of arthritis, there's all these symptoms that we call dis-ease through the body. And I've almost had all of them. But once I started my healing process, it completely shifted and changed. I'm the only one that hasn't taken out my ovaries when I was 35 years old, because I'm doing the actual emotional work. But that's very important for people to understand is we chose these things because they're tied to the soul lessons that we want to learn through the lifetime. So for me, control, all the matriarchs in my family is full of control. And also a lot of sexual trauma, which is a lot of ovarian cancer. But when we heal that on the emotional and mental level, the body dissipates, it corrects the DNA. Those first three layers that are grounding layers that come with the body, that are the physical, that make our eyes, make the dis-ease, make everything, we are shifting and clearing those layers and releasing all those old timelines and coming back into balance. So then when we procreate to the next generation, it's gone. It's completely gone.
Yes. Oh, that's so brilliant. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yes, yes, yes. Mwah. You are truly just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful being, Anela, on every level. And you are truly a gifted healer. I hope everyone will look at the links, find Anela on the website. She's on Facebook as well. We will definitely have you back soon. It was such a wonderful time to share with you, sister. I love
Allie,
you.
thank you.
I just love you. And thank you. Thank you for being here and for really truly sharing your view from love.
Oh, thank you, Allie. So honored for this opportunity and just connecting with you on a one-on-one. This is so
Oh,
beautiful.
so beautiful. Oh,
Thank
yes.
you.
I love you. Thank
I
you
love
all
you
for joining
too.
us, and enjoy really, really taking in all of the beauty that Anela shared with us. And may this show bring you peace and love and inspiration wherever you are on your journey. Thank you so much for being with us.